this is the hard, I think viewers have heard me say this many times, that it's our ability to engage meaningfully with difference. And so
Mhm.
asking for justice, asking for liberation should not be equated with anti anything. And so
Exactly.
again, I think this moment, for many reasons, in terms of the movements in the last few years that have been centered in terms of equity and justice, this time is asking us to build our ability to hold the complexity of conversations like this. That, look, we're talking about, you know the it's not about discounting the traumatic history of the Jewish people, and that is, we can hold our compassion for that history and that commitment to making sure genocide doesn't happen again in that way, and apply it to this conversation. That if we commit and
Mhm.
we agree that what happened to the Jewish people in the Holocaust was injustice, was genocide, was wrong, I think that is one thing that, in a very simple way, and not to simplify this conversation in any way, but just to recognize that at a base, we as humans have already agreed on a lot of things. And how do we apply that across justice movements? Because I think sometimes there's this idea of, well, we've already done this work, why do we have to keep hearing about other things? But it's like, until, I like to say, until all of us are free, none of us are free. And I think
100%.
about, as a mother, you've given me some statistics, and I don't know if you have them handy, about children, but as a mother, when I hear those stories, and really you've given me some narratives as well, that, like, as parents we can relate, as
Mhm.
humans we can relate. Many of us have come from families where we've lived the cost of colonization. I think about my family, who I'm a child of Punjabi immigrants who came from India, and my grandparents lived through partition, India and Pakistan, and the trauma, the ongoing legacy of that trauma. And so I think, there's a lot of skills, as you mentioned, that we already have the ability to understand these things, and we just need to broaden how we're applying that.
For sure. No, and it is, I think every single person can acknowledge and can see that it is injustice. And it's, again, I emphasize that it is not just Palestine. There's so much reconciliation that needs to happen, and connecting with those organizations has proven to be so powerful for us, because it really does create that sense of solidarity and connection in the struggle. Um, and even, one of our webinars we hosted with Grandmother's Voice, because the same colonial settler system that happened here in Canada is what's happening in Israel. So to be able to draw those connections for people, like, hey, if we're willing to do the work here for that reconciliation, why are we afraid to do it there? And I think, again, the biggest thing that comes up is that people are afraid to speak up. People don't understand. People think that, oh, it's the Middle East. It's viewed as in a different lens. So there is a lot there in, as you mentioned, like, unless all of us are free, none of us are. So that's been a really amazing way for us to really broaden the message, get it out there, that our actions affect lots of different populations and we don't even know it.
Mm.
Like, I know we were speaking about this earlier, but like your calls to action for what we could be doing, a lot of the things that you can be doing to support the liberation of Palestinians include also supporting the reconciliation with Indigenous people here in Canada. And one of the biggest things is looking at where your bank is investing its money, where your pension plan is going. We are providing money to these banks, especially the big five, so RBC, BMO, TD, CIBC, and I always forget the fifth one. But when we supply, or when we are investing in those banks, we're investing in pipelines going through Indigenous communities. We're investing in surveillance technology that's going to the Middle East. We're investing in the production of drones that are being used in war. So once we are fully aware of where we're actually investing our money, we can make a difference. Our dollars are so powerful collectively, and the bank acknowledges that, and they're using us essentially to fund the destruction, and they're fund we're fueling the war and we don't even know it. So